Canada and India are establishing new relations precisely because both countries are under attack from the same source. U.S. President Donald Trump's 50% tariff on Indian imports went into effect this week, while Canada appointed its new ambassador to India, a significant move towards calming tensions that had risen after officials accused the Indian government of taking part in crimes and fraud on Canadian soil.
Imagine you run a small shop, and your best customer suddenly demands a huge fee for every item you sell. That fee is a tariff, a tax one country imposes on imports. For decades, the world lowered these taxes to make trade cheaper and more predictable. That stability let companies plan, invest, and create jobs. But President Trump's America First policy upended that stability. Washington announced a dramatic 50% tariff on a wide range of Indian goods. Textiles, machinery, and many more sectors hit hard. This isn't a small tweak, it's an economic earthquake. It mixes economic pressure with geopolitical strategy. The administration said two things: India's trade barriers and its ties to Russia justified pressure, particularly India's purchase of Russian oil, seen in Washington as funding conflict. A move this severe hasn't been seen at scale since the 1930s. The message: the old rules of global trade no longer apply. Integrated supply chains can be disrupted overnight. Companies in India, the US, and beyond are left scrambling. The 50% tariff hit India swiftly and severely. Exports to the US, once vital, plunged. Factories that supplied American retailers saw orders vanish, inventory stacked up, invoices unpaid, and jobs threatened. Textiles, apparel, jewelry, handicrafts, millions of workers exposed. Sudden lost orders mean silent machines and uncertain paychecks. Communities that relied on exports face real hardship. Nearly $87 billion of trade was at stake, a shock to growth. Experts warned growth could slow by half a percentage point or more. Fewer jobs, less tax revenue, and pressure on services. Schools and clinics in vulnerable areas could feel the squeeze. Indian companies scramble to find new buyers and markets, but building trust in new supply chains takes time. Although the tariffs targeted India, the ripple reached Canada fast. Canada's economy is deeply tied to the US, so unpredictability alarms businesses here. North American supply chains are integrated. Parts travel cross-border for final assembly. A tariff on one segment can jam the whole manufacturing line. Canadian exporters can't simply ignore these disruptions. They worry they could be next targets of protectionist moves. Businesses hate uncertainty. Investment decisions are delayed. Projects get postponed, slowing growth. Canada began actively seeking reliable partners beyond the US. India became an obvious match. Large market complementary strengths. Diversify, reduce reliance on any single market. Find new pathways for growth and security. Tariffs create bottlenecks and higher costs across systems. Markets react. Currencies and investment flows can shift dramatically. Out of risk comes opportunity. New bilateral ties that could be more stable. Officials moved from rhetoric to concrete talks about trade and cooperation. In the shadow of unpredictable US policy, Canada and India seized an opening. They began building a new partnership focused on stability. High-level dialogue started to deepen economic and strategic ties. Officials discussed comprehensive agreements to lower barriers. Canada offers energy and agricultural exports. India supplies manufacturing capacity and large consumer markets. Tech collaboration, R&D, and services are obvious early wins. Canada's energy and raw materials can feed India's growth. They planned logistics and trade facilitation to make commerce smoother. Joint ventures and innovation can create higher value linkages. With 1.4 billion people, India is a massive market, a strategic opportunity for Canada. Canadian firms can access new customers and investors. Imagine Canadian farmers selling more lentils and potash to Indian markets, and Indian manufacturers finding reliable Canadian buyers. Over time, these ties can grow into durable value chains, a pragmatic pivot to mutual strength, born from economic necessity. One clear sign of the reset: new high-profile ambassadors in each capital. Ambassadors are living symbols of renewed commitment. Their mission: translate political will into practical outcomes. They mediate, negotiate deals, and open doors for business. They hammer out trade terms and investment frameworks. They foster cultural ties that strengthen trust between peoples. Ambassadors bring delegations, promote investment, and resolve disputes. Their work converts headlines into tangible projects. Choosing seasoned envoys signals this is a priority, not window dressing. They are equipped to achieve ambitious, measurable goals. Clean energy and AI were early focus areas for collaboration. They also coordinate on global strategic issues. Good ambassadors build grassroots trust, not just government-to-government ties. They open commercial doors that create jobs at home. Their success is measured in jobs, schools, and stable communities. Ambassadors are the human face of a larger strategic realignment. The Canada-India shift is a classic case of rapid geopolitical change. Unexpected events can redraw alliances overnight. The old adage, "the enemy of my enemy is my friend," often applies. Here, U.S. protectionism is the disruptive force. Countries form new trade blocs and security ties in response. Economic alignment can spill into strategic cooperation. A more multipolar trading system can emerge, empowering middle powers. Canada and India can shape their futures, not just react. It's about building new value chains, not just rerouting containers. Canadian funds could back Indian infrastructure, labs could partner on pharma. Partnerships in R&D can yield resilient, higher-value industries. These ties can become more resilient than the old ones they replace. A denser web of relationships makes the global economy less brittle. Influence zones shift as countries rebuild networks without relying on a single power. History shows alliances change with interests, not just sentiment. A single policy decision can trigger a global chain reaction. Trade policy decisions in distant capitals shape our daily lives. Tariffs raise costs that can end up on your price tag. More expensive imports mean higher prices at checkout. Availability can shrink as supply chains adjust. In India, workers face cancelled orders and lost income. In Canada, farmers watch for new pathways to sell their produce. Stronger Canada-India ties could create jobs and new markets. They could redirect trade flows toward more resilient networks. A Canadian retailer sourcing from India could stay competitive with lower barriers, or a Canadian tech firm could hire skilled engineers through new partnerships. Decisions in Washington, Ottawa, and New Delhi ripple into markets everywhere. Those policies shape jobs, prices, and investment where we live. Resilience comes from diversification and collaboration. Working together across borders builds a safer economic future. Next time you notice a price or a headline, remember the policy roots behind it. When top customers close a door, new bridges open. Canada and India are building one now.